You cannot override a hot mess with a microdose. You cannot override a hot mess with a macrodose. Now, you can force somebody's biochemistry and biology to rev up pathways and stifle an appetite to the point where people do lose weight. I don't suggest that. That does not lead to lasting results. In fact, if you don't strength train and protect your muscle and take really good care of yourself while you're on a GLP-1, whether it be a microdose or a more standard dose for weight loss, which you're going to have to do if you want to move the needle on weight loss, guys, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to go up into a standard dosing tiers. If you don't do all the things that I preach daily on here in conjunction, you will not have lasting results. You will be one of those people who comes off and becomes one of the statistics of like, oh, they gained all the weight back really fast, because that's what's happening to most people. You will become one of the many kind of fallout of the GLP-1 thing. And not to say that you can even go off of it, because if you are using it for appreciable weight loss and you really do have the disease of obesity, you're probably going to stay on it. But that's not the conversation today. My point being is your microdose is going to stop working. It's going to, for immediately, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this was a miracle. If it works, it doesn't work for everyone. If it works, you're going to, and say you are one of those metabolically unsound kind of hot mess of inflammation, like the vast majority of middle-aged women are, unfortunately. And again, not a judgment. I've just seen all the labs. I've seen their labs and I'm like, whoa, the trains are coming off the tracks here. Peptides work when the wheels start shaking on the car. If the wheels are a little like, oh, something's a little off, I'm hearing a little clunk in the engine. When the wheels have fallen off the car, peptides are not going to do anything. And I think it is unethical for doctors to think that it will and to try to convince patients that it will. And if you are a physician listening, because I know a lot of doctors listen to this show, I'm telling you the God's honest truth here. Do not try to convince these people that peptides are going to be an option for them or that it's going to work for them. It might for a hot second. When it comes to BPC 157, I think when you have an acute injury, I think it really can help a bit. It's not nearly as potent as some of the therapies that I have access to that I've been doing in my clinic for years. I would not choose BPC 157 over PRP. And here's the thing about PRP, platelet-rich plasma. It's only as good as the individual that it is used from. So if you are malnourished, if you are nutrient deplete, if you are under-muscled, if you are inflamed, if you are rocking excess inflammatory adipose tissue, and we take your PRP, it is not going to be nearly as good as if you were in great shape and great health and fully optimized and vitamin D sufficient and HRT sufficient or hormone sufficient. Night and day. That is the truth. And peptides are not going to help, and regenerative injection therapies are not going to help. And I know that sucks because some of you are in such a bleak place and you are so desperate for help that you will try anything, or you will pay any amount, or you'll believe anyone who tells you otherwise. And I know that a lot of people lean on hope, and I have encountered so many people in the past few years who have come to me and said, I heard you on such and such's podcast and I went and tried microdosing and it was so amazing for my joint pain or for my autoimmune or whatever. And then it quit working. And I asked them, did you hear the part where I said it was reserved for metabolically optimized people only? And they said, yes, but I wanted to try. And so I get it. But sometimes when people hear hope, they don't listen to anything else. I know this from clinical practice. Patients literally would not hear anything else if they thought this is the thing, this is what's going to help me. It's just human nature. And they quit listening to the rest of the conversation. And then if they weren't listening and it didn't work, they would be sorely disappointed or mad or whatever. And that's fair. But a lot of times people are only hearing what they want to hear. And so I'm just here to be devil's advocate and tell you the truth. We're a very sensitive crew, us middle-aged ladies. We're a little more brittle as far as like biochemically, we're a little more brittle than we used to be. And we might need a little more hand-holding. We might need a little more detailed approach. And so I really want to encourage you to find somebody to work with. All of the details, though, That's what I'm going through inside the Menopause Rebellion. I'm trying to teach my ladies in there everything they need to know to be fully empowered so that they can navigate this, because there isn't always an awesome doctor down the road from you. There isn't always an awesome doctor even in your state. And so if you know the basics, because I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, it's the foundations. If the foundations aren't built, these hormones don't land. If you don't have adequate muscle, hormones and peptides don't even have a place to land and do their work. And I'm not saying they all land on muscle, but for the most part, yes. And if you're not metabolically optimized, they go down weird pathways. The estrogen goes down weird pathways. So knowing all of that, that doesn't take a fancy doctor. That just takes knowledge, and I will teach it to you inside the Menopause Rebellion. That is the entire reason I started this group, was because I wanted to teach middle-aged women who were sort of trying to navigate this whole crazy thing. And I commend all of you for doing the work, because that's the other part that I'm trying to teach in there is empowerment. How do you start talking to your health practitioners so that you can get what you need, what's realistic, what you can expect, what you should be able to expect, what your rights and responsibilities are. I want to cover all of that in there because I want you guys to feel fully empowered when you walk into a doctor's office and know what that doctor's limitations are. If they're not the one, that's okay. You don't need to get mad at them. We don't all need to be everything to everyone. Like, that's why they're specialists. But you need to know what you need to know so that you can go find someone to help you, because you can get yourself to a level through just lifestyle. Like, it doesn't require a prescription. It doesn't require a doctor's orders. You can get your shit together first, and then you are an awesome candidate for HRT, for peptides. Now, a word about HRT. Can you start that before you are fully optimized? Yes and no. This is the thing. Sometimes we need, like in the case of GLP-1s, for instance, in the case of progesterone, I think we need those things to get optimized, right? We need those things to get optimized. When it comes to testosterone and estrogen, things start getting wonky because testosterone likes to aromatize into estrogen. Your fat secretes estrone, which is a form of estrogen. In fact, that's the main source of your estrogen after your ovaries go offline. Your poor adrenals will try to take up some of the slack, but most of us go into it with our adrenals a bit crashed out. We will be discussing inside the Menopause Rebellion in detail how to work with that. I get that we need the estrogen to and I've done lots of podcasts about this, so I won't go into detail, but as your estrogen wanes, you become more insulin resistant and more metabolically compromised, and your fat redistributes in ways that perpetuates that and makes it all worse. And so I do see the point of putting estrogen in there, but I'm telling you, if you put estrogen into an inflamed, metabolically compromised body with excess adipose on it, it is anyone's bet which pathways that estrogen is going to go down. And most doctors want to poo-poo Dutch tests and want to poo-poo looking at those pathways. But I'm telling you, especially if you like to drink a glass of wine at night, especially if you've got excess belly fat, especially if you have the inverted glutes I'm talking about, and all of your weight has packed onto your midsection and your legs and your butt have gotten really skinny and your arms are skinny, you know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. That is not a great body to be putting estrogen in. Things don't go awesome that way. So this is where I do like to utilize GLP-1s to kind of clean up the milieu, but you have to do that really strategically and you have to do it right. There is a way to do that elegantly, and there is a way to just hammer people with them and deplete their muscle even further while they're losing fat mass. And that becomes real messy real fast. So anyway, that's where we're at. I know this might be frustrating for many of you. I know this might be disappointing, but I really want you to understand that the concept of microdosing GLP-1s or even keeping the dose very low, that is reserved, especially if you want some weight loss, not a microdosing thing, but definitely a low dose that can be achieved through low dosing of GLP-1s. You have to be doing all the other things. And we cover that in detail in the Menopause Rebellion. If you want to utilize peptides, and somebody's trying to convince you that you can use those instead of hormones, they're lying to you straight up. They are not the same thing, even close. Like the lock and key mechanism, not the same thing.